हाय गाइस, गुड इवनिंग। ठहर जाओ, मैं पानी पीना भूल गई थी, एक सेकेंड सिप ले लेती हूँ। Yes, everybody, I'm here with you all for a beautiful session that's going to give you valuable insights. In fact, invaluable insights. So, if you are ready, we can roll. How has the day been, guys? All good at your end, I hope. Aryan and Chirag, Shoaib, Benefactor, Chawali, all of you, welcome to this session. Thank you so much for joining me. It makes me all the more happy. Chalo. So this is your very own editorial session. This is the third session in this series that we are doing, and it's supposed to help you in a very big way. How? Hi Hariom, good to see you. Nivedita, hi. You gave quant sectional test. All right, Chawali, good. Yes, guys. So, in the first session of this editorial series, we discussed eugenics. In the second session, we discussed something related to woke capitalism. And I also brought in Overton window and various other concepts. Okay. So, there is a list that I had given out, the reading concepts list. I'm doing these editorials on some topics cherry picked from that list. Okay. So, it's going to make your work easier. Today we are going to take up another interesting topic from that list, and you won't believe, guys, in this passage, in this article that I have taken, you'll again come across eugenics, something that we discussed 2 sessions back. So what happens? पहले हमने डिस्कस किया है यूजेनिक्स, फिर आज डिस्कस करेंगे यूजेनिक्स. It'll pop up in your passage. That builds familiarity, and that is exactly what I mean when I say build up your concepts. That will help you build up familiarity. हरिओम, आप आते हो मेरी क्लास में स्पैमिंग करने के लिए, राइट? या तो कोई आपको पैसा देके डालता है मेरी क्लास में, या आपका खुद ही ऐसा टेम्परामेंट है कि आप सोचते हो कि इसकी क्लास में बैठ के डिस्टर्ब करूंगा, स्पैमिंग करूंगा. बट इफ यू थिंक दैट इज गोइंग टू अफेक्ट मी, हरिओम, बहुत मोटी चमड़ी हूं मैं, कोई असर नहीं पड़ता मेरे इस पे कोई भी ऐसे ट्रबल मेकर्स का. बस यही होगा, आई विल स्टार्ट इग्नोरिंग यू इन द सेशन. Yes, Nivedita, this is the third one. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive right in and see what is there in store for you today. बहुत ही ज़्यादा मज़ेदार है. You will love every little bit of it. ठीक है, मैं हूँ ना यहाँ पर आपको explain करके बताने के लिए, just to kind of break it down and help you understand the bits and pieces and all. Okay, चलिए. So we all know the objective of these editorial sessions. क्या होते हैं हमारे objectives इसके? Learn how to read effectively. Develop that love for reading. I'm trying my best to rub this off on all of you. कितना ऐसा एक यूफोरिक सी फीलिंग आती है गाइस जब मैं ना पैसेज रीड कर रही होती हूँ, फेमिलियर वर्ड्स वहां पे दिखते हैं, वो फीलिंग आती है दैट आई ऑलरेडी नो द मीनिंग्स ऑफ दीज. अरे ये तो मैंने ऐसा पढ़ा है. इट्स अ सर्टेन, I don't know how to put it, it's like really euphoric. So that is what I'm trying to rub off on you guys. Develop that love for reading. That will help you, not just in your CAT prep, not just for your RCs, even beyond that. You'll be able to speak well in your interviews, you'll be able to do well in your VAT, that is writing ability test. You will be able to speak on these topics when you join IIM Ahmedabad or Bangalore or Kolkata or any other. Okay, you will be considered the cream of the crop if you can sit and take part in conversations, if you can kind of just be there, right? So उसके लिए थोड़ी बहुत knowledge तो चाहिए, है ना? Then understand and retain new concepts and terms, उसके लिए मैं हूँ, right? I'm going to just help you out. Facilitate our RC solving in CAT, ये तो होगा ही, right? And master how to nail the main idea. I'll help you with this as well. Okay, swastik, all good at my end. Swastik monga. ठीक है? चलिए. Before I take you over to the passage, the quick announcement. What is that? The mock. So we have got our window open now. It's from 6th. ये मैं रेड क्यों लेके बैठी हूँ भाई, वाइट चाहिए मुझे. हाँ. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Hang in there. 6th June to 9th June. There is this window that will be available for everyone. You can take the free mock in this window. Okay. I have seen the paper, I have seen the level that we are going to give you this time, so everything is going to be good. Okay. Please take these tests. Alright guys, please take these tests and assess where you stand. Today in one of my sessions, a student asked me कि मैम अभी तो हमारा syllabus start हुआ है. So how will this test help us? Won't it demotivate us? My point is, if you are doing RC with me and let's say, one more topic, short summary. In the mock test, tackle only these questions. The target should not be to maximize your percentile like 99 something in this first mock. फिर आप बाकी के mocks में करोगे क्या? है ना? So the target should be to score something like 85 percentile in this first mock. The target should be to select some good questions, like good 8 to 9 questions, and kind of just clear the cutoff. इतना तो कर ही सकते हैं, considering that you've already started the syllabus with me. You've started doing RCs with me. है ना? So there will be 16 questions of RC. I'm sure you can pick at least 8 to 9 भी छोड़ दो, 8. And short summary के 2 questions, 10 questions. Is it too much to ask for? No. इतना कर सकते हो आप, है ना? So ये window याद रखना, 6th June to 9th June. Where will you get further notification? On this group. We have got this community learning wala system now, you know that. So here you have got this QR code. You can join with the help of this. Alright guys, even further notifications, any other thing, any inquiry you have or anything, just be there as part of this. Alright? Okay, chaliye. Now, what is this? I had posted this on FB today. And I had asked you guys that if I give you something like this, like a picture like this, what one word can you give me for this? People said thinking, thoughts, people said physical qualities, personal attributes, and a lot of other answers came in. There's one thing that you need to understand. Phrenology. Now, before we get into this passage, Arunesha, good to see you. Before we get into this passage, you should just know the basic things about phrenology. There are 3 terms I'll give you, okay? Phrenology, physiognomy, Physio, physiognomy, and pseudoscience. Right? Whenever we say phrenology, these 2 also come to mind. Before we get into the passage, I'll just give you the basic meanings of these 3. Phrenology is an obsolete science, obsolete technique. What was it? Phrenology means, checking the bumps on the skull of a person. You shave the person's head, then you check the bumps. यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा सूजा हुआ है, वहाँ पे पीछे में फ्लैट है, अच्छा सर के ऊपर में तो बहुत ही एक गोल सा है, इसका ना यहाँ पे देखो ऐसा करके ऐसा फ्लैटिश टाइप है, ये तो पक्का क्रिमिनल है, बड़ा हो करके ना ये जरूर किसी का मर्डर करेगा. ये होता था phrenology. Long back in the days of witch doctors and shaman, वो तो खैर अभी भी होता है, लेकिन वो जो enlightenment के पहले वाला जो period था ना, the middle ages, उसमें खासकर phrenology used to be kind of the mantra. Why? Because people used to shave off the heads of criminals or suspected people, and they used to find out अच्छा इस केस के कहाँ पे bumps है, ये कैसा इसका characteristic है. Now that's considered redundant, but then hang on. Physiognomy क्या है? You decide the personal attributes of a person by checking the facial features. You get it? इसकी तो पकौड़े जैसी नाक है, इसकी तो देखो चाइनीज जैसी slanting eyes है, इसके तो देखो लटके हुए गाल हैं, व्हाट वी कॉल जाउल, है ना, JOWL। इसके तो देखो ऐसा है। ओहो, इसका तो फोरहेड देखो कितना बड़ा है। भाई फोरहेड बड़ा कैन बी बिकॉज ऑफ रिसीडिंग हेयर लाइन, बट नो, फोरहेड कितना बड़ा है। ओ ही हैज गॉट अ बल्बस फोरहेड, प्रोजेक्टिंग टाइप फोरहेड है। ये तो ना पक्का मर्डरर है, ये तो पक्का कुछ क्राइम करेगा। ये था। सो फिजियोग्नोमी इज checking the personal attributes of a person with the facial features and all. Phrenology skull के हिसाब से, ठीक है, your skull. And pseudoscience is pseudo as the name suggests. Pseudoscience is something that is not correct. Okay. Now, when I speak of pseudoscience, there's one more concept that you need to read on that keeps popping up in your RC passages. That is something called peer review. Okay. Very often I come across this. What does this peer review say? If any concept, if anything comes up in science, if there's a research, there's a study done, that should be submitted for peer review. Right? Peer review is what? Peer review is if I'm a scientist, I have come up with a research, with some study, some data, I submit it for peer review, and my community is going to get back to me on this. Once they approve of this, I will give this for publishing on the internet or wherever. Right? Without peer review, if I give it for publishing, it won't be that authentic. Okay? So peer review takes a lot of time. And because of that, scientists do what? Scientists take shortcuts. They say, अरे छोड़ो ना जाने दो, peer review बाद में होगा, हम अभी पहले इसको publish के लिए दे देते हैं. Right? So pseudoscience is nakli science that actually involves a lot of these things which may or may not have been reviewed by the peers. Right? Done? Cool. Now let's get back to the passage and see what it says. बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है, एंड टुवर्ड्स द एंड आई विल आस्क यू इफ यू कैन लोकेट द मेन आइडिया. देखते हैं कौन बताता है. हीरो ऑफ द पैसेज, द मेन आइडिया, द टोन, एटसेट्रा. होल्ड योर हॉर्सेस नाउ. Phrenology has an old-fashioned ring to it. पुरानी चीज है. It sounds like it belongs in a history book from the cobweb-laden pages of history. Okay, from like long back, filed somewhere between bloodletting and velocipedes. Means velocipede क्या था? Velocipede was like a very ancient time में use किया जाने वाला एक bicycle. Bloodletting क्या था? When people used to fall ill, a small portion would be cut open, and some blood would be taken as sample to kind of so that they could study it and find out कि इसमें क्या germs हैं, कैसे हैं. भाई आज जो हम blood test करते हैं ना, उस जमाने में bloodletting उसको बोला जाता था, and that used to be very primitive. It was like, a very weird way of checking. So between bloodletting and velocipedes, this itself tells us, जो range दिया ना, कि भाई ये तो उसी वक्त होके खत्म हो गया, मर गया ये. Velocipedes was also long back. So this is nothing, phrenology is nothing modern. We'd like to think that judging people's worth based on the size and shape of their skulls, even if you didn't know the meaning of phrenology, it's given there. पर हमेशा ऐसा नहीं होता है. Moreover, if you are familiar with the term, क्या होगा? It will be very easy for you. You will be able to understand the entire thing in a jiffy, right? So, based on the shape and size of a skull is a practice that's well behind us. However, that is the word that tells me where actually the main idea is going to be. So, the author is not going to discuss that phrenology is in or phrenology is out. No, he's saying, however, phrenology is once again rearing its lumpy head, this time under the guise of technology. Right? Under the guise of technology. Technology के कंधे पे बंदूक रख करके phrenology is trying to come back into this world. How? Phrenology is a living being. Can it make a comeback? How? I'm sure scientists are bringing it back. Countries are bringing it back. Governments are bringing it back. कोई तो ला रहा होगा ना. Companies must be bringing it back. जिसको phrenology से फायदा होता होगा, those people must be bringing it back. Right? है ना? So we move forward. Now, In the first paragraph, we understand there are two parts. One says the received wisdom. I mean, he says like, phrenology ko aisa mana jata tha, it's old. And then he says, however, it's making a comeback. Now, in the second para, he says, in recent years, machine learning algo. You know what machine learning algo is? That's again concept for reading, right? When you read about AI, you have to read about machine learning algo, right? Everything is based on algo these days. Have seen an explosion of uses, legitimate and shady. You see this tone of the author? The tone of the author towards the people who are bringing it back is skeptical. He says legitimate and shady. Kuch legitimate. Several recent applications promise governments and private companies. So who all are trying to bring it back? Governments and private companies. People who see that they are going to benefit from this. How? The power to glean all sorts of information from people's appearances. Right? है ना? Researchers from Stanford University. Now from here he's giving an example. So in the exam, if there's such a passage, you don't need to go into this example. Right? Because the theory is here. Governments and private companies are trying to bring it back this way. So this is an example. अभी पढ़ते हैं, ठीक है? But exam में ये examples वगैरह, you can simply skip and move on. Researchers from Stanford University built a gaydar. Just like we have radar, they built a gaydar. So, let's say there's a country, let's say Vatican City. Vatican City is considered religious place, okay, or let's say Saudi Arabia, okay, another religious place. Now, these countries do not allow gays to thrive there, right? They are very strict. So, instead of making a radar, instead of calling it radar, they made a gaydar. Algorithm that they say can tell straight and gay faces apart more accurately. If I see that Saudi Arabia is trying to do something like this, and if I'm a manufacturer, if I'm a crooked person, I'm going to get into this and I'm going to first promote this on the net that yes, phrenology makes it possible for people to judge other person's character or other person's tendencies or sexual orientation. है ना? ये होता है ना जनरली आज के हमारे एरा में. Let's say I come up with some kind of आटा, okay, not the गेहूं का आटा, not sharbati and whatever आटा we eat. I come up with a different kind of आटा. In order to promote it, first I'm going to demote these things. Eating wheat is bad. Celiac disease होता है ना? That is carbs. That can kind of lead to this, that something. And then you're going to subtly promote your brand. In order to stay healthy, in order to have a long life, Japanese have said that it's better to eat this kind of atta. That is exactly what companies are doing because they want financial gain. Right? So Stanford University built a gaydar algo that they said that can distinguish between straight and gay. Right? The researchers indicated that their motivation was to expose a potential privacy threat, but they also declared the results as consistent with the prenatal hormone theory. Now, you should just know these words I'm telling you, these phrases. Prenatal. Natal is birth, prenatal is birth ke pehle ka, hormone theory. What did they do? Okay, they indicated that the motivation was to expose this. They also declared their results consistent with this, just to give it more leverage, just to kind of give it more weightage. They said that it is connected with this. Prenatal hormone theory. What does the prenatal hormone theory say? You can get a question from here. Okay, all of the following are true about the prenatal hormone theory except, or which one of the following is true about this theory? Right? So the description is here. Let me just break it down for you. Hypothesizes that fetal exposure, fetal is fetus, right, to androgens, andro is the male gamete आपका जो कहलाता है, right, helps determine sexual orientation. Okay, so fetal exposure. The researchers cite the much contested claim that these hormone exposures would also result in gender atypical faces. Now, let me break this down. So what do these researchers do in order to bring forward their research, the study, the results? They also kind of, bolster it. How do they bolster it? By giving this prenatal hormone theory. They say that besides this, besides the phrenology and physiognomy thing, What is happening? Fetal exposure, if you have got a fetus in a lady's womb, what will happen? Exposure to androgens, okay? Androgens, like, maybe people who have got that male thing more dominant, okay, helps determine sexual orientation. So they say that this is possible for even fetuses to acquire. So if we are saying that physiognomy works, phrenology works, yes, it works. This is what they said. Right? ये था. Gender atypical, in case you are wondering. Typical किसको कहते हैं? सब एक जैसा. Don't be a typical housewife or don't be a typical mother. Right? Typical, सबकी तरह. Atypical, something different. So gender atypical faces इस तरह का, like, let's say women's noses are supposed to be slim and narrow or, like, petite, whatever. And then if you've got like a very big broad nose, maybe that's a gender atypical nose. Cool? चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. So several startups, look at the flow. This is what I teach in my classes. You have to connect the passage paragraphs. You have to map them, Shreya, Shri Ghosh, right? You have to map them. ये नहीं सीखा तो फिर क्या सीखा आपने मेरे से, right? So mapping कैसा है? इस पैरा का first है explosion of uses, legitimate and shady, and then he funnels it down to startups. He first talks about governments and private companies, right, Shreya Shri Ghosh, and then he brings it down to startups. So we are studying phrenology, the age-old technique, in relation with the modern era. Right? So you see, I'm not giving you something that is outdated, something that you won't need to read about. Cool? Ab dekho yahan. Several startups claim to be able to use AI. You are supposed to read on AI as much as possible. Right? To help employers detect the personality traits of job candidates based on their facial expressions. अरे बॉस, आपने देखा है वो क्षितिज वहां बाहर बैठा हुआ है और बहुत देर से ना वो आंखें ब्लिंक करता चला जा रहा है, और क्षितिज को अगर आप नोटिस करना, हमेशा उसके एंकल्स हिलते रहते हैं. आपको नहीं लगता कुछ गड़बड़ है यहाँ? हाँ, अपना जो वो फ्रेनोलॉजिस्ट और फिजियोग्नोमिस्ट है ना, जस्ट कॉल दैट पर्सन, ही विल टेल अस ये जो इंडिकेशन है ये क्या बताता है हमको. ओके, बुलाया गया उस शेडी, उस फोनी फिजियोग्नोमिस्ट को, फ्रेनोलॉजिस्ट को. उसने बताया क्षितिज जो है वो फंड्स का घपला कर रहा है, ही इज एन एम्बेजलर, जबकि क्षितिज ऐसा कुछ नहीं कर रहा है. राइट? बॉस ने क्या किया? क्षितिज को फायर कर दिया. आई हैव गॉट सॉलिड रीजन टू फायर यू. See? So, detect the personality traits of job candidates based on this. अब उसके बाद startups हो गया in China. There's an example. Oh, China, अपना हीरो तो हर जगह आ जाता है. China तो जो ना करे वो कम है. The government has pioneered the use of surveillance cameras, identify and track ethnic minorities. Another reading concept for you all. China ka ethnic minorities, Uyghurs, UIGHURS, and how China has been practicing eugenics. And eugenics by way of forced sterilization of this ethnic minority. ठीक है? वो पढ़ के देखो. It's a very interesting thing. Somewhere like, when you're discussing race and kind of eugenics and all, you can slip that in. Cool. अब ये देखो, track ethnic minorities. China has started doing that. This is what they are saying. है ना? Okay. Meanwhile, reports have emerged of schools. Oh, look at the beautiful flow of this paragraph. You don't need to read everything word for word if this is a cat passage. Right now we are discussing it, है ना? तो यहाँ इसने क्या किया? स्टार्टअप्स की बात की, कैसे जॉब कैंडिडेट्स का हो रहा है, चाइना का लेके आया, how they are tracking ethnic minorities, negative tone towards China, right? Okay. Meanwhile, reports have emerged of schools वाले और पागल हो गए हैं. Installing camera systems that automatically sanction children for not paying attention. कैमरा लगा हुआ है क्लास में, दैट बच्चा इज काइंड ऑफ डोजिंग ऑफ. ओ, ये ना हमेशा क्लास में डोज ऑफ करता है, इसके फेशियल फीचर्स रिकॉर्ड करो. देयर इज समथिंग वेरी रॉन्ग विद दिस बच्चा. ये बड़ा हो करके तो ना ऐसा होने वाला है. अभी भी इसकी टेंडेंसीज गे टाइप की हैं. यू गेटिंग इट? Okay, facial movements, not paying attention, facial movements, micro expressions such as eyebrow twitches. Now, my point over here is eyebrow twitches, nose twitches, lip twitches can be a physical weakness also. You getting my point? So if you are putting a camera somewhere and monitoring me and seeing कि अच्छा मैं कैसे ना eyebrow twitch करती हूँ, thank God नहीं कर रही हूँ मैं, लेकिन eyebrow कैसे twitch करती हूँ, let's say I do that, let's say I kind of do something else that is something typical of me, okay, and the camera monitors that, and then you interpret it for something else, maybe that's a physical weakness in me. How do you justify? You get it? That is what the author's tone is, कि ये ना अपने अपने फायदे के लिए they are bringing it back, physiognomy and phrenology, but then how justified is it कि facial features पे and आप उसको monitor करें और study करें. Right? अब ये देखो, micro expressions such as eyebrow twitches. University students taking online exams monitored by proctoring algo not only have to answer the questions तो आंसर करना ही है, but also maintain the appearance of a student who is not cheating. Means if I am suspected as a cheater by my school, I will be forced to take the exam under a camera, surveillance camera. Right? उनका पहले से कुछ एक requisite उनका भरा हुआ है उसमें, like kind of specifications that a cheater student looks here and there. Okay, a cheater student keeps doing like this. A cheater student does like this. Maybe. भाई naturally हो सकता है I'm used to doing this. अब मैं बैठी उस कैमरा के नीचे and my principal suspects that I'm a cheater. मैं माहौल खराब करती हूँ स्कूल में. उसके बाद मैं दे रही हूँ, suddenly I felt some kind of itching, I did this. And suddenly I felt some itching, I did this. खत्म, प्रिंसिपल ने तो वहीं लिख लिया, ये कैपिटल लेटर्स में cheater, इसको dismiss करो स्कूल से. You get it? That is what they are saying. So there are flaws in this, but also maintain the appearance of a student who is not cheating. These algo reportedly make false accusations against students with disabilities. Disability है तो आप क्या कर लोगे उस बेचारे को? Right? जैसे मेरे नाक पे बहुत खुजली होती है, बहुत ज्यादा. It's like a fact. Okay? So I keep doing this. I wish इसका मतलब होता पैसा आता है or something. I keep doing this. Mind you, I don't pick my nose, but then I keep doing this. अब ये अगर phrenology और physiognomy, phrenology तो नहीं, physiognomy के हिसाब से कुछ है ऐसा कि अच्छा she is ना crooked और she is like a lesbian or she is something of that sort, तो ये तो फंस गई मैं नाक में ऐसे खुजली करके. Right? Okay. So these algo reportedly make false accusations against students with disabilities who move their faces and hands in different ways, atypical ways. Right? And black students, here comes in the racism part, have indicated that they have been required to shine bright lights in their faces by features to be detected at all. Do you get my point? Features to be detected means क्या बोल रहा है यहाँ पे? I can easily give you an inference question from here if I'm the question setter. Black students have indicated that they have been required to shine bright lights in their faces so as to have their features detected at all. भाई उनका dark skin है. Their features cannot be detected very easily as we can detect them on the face of a white-skinned person. So the black students have to actually, they have to sit and take the exam और उनके face पे torch light shine की जाती है या ring light या कुछ रखेंगे एकदम bright light. क्यों? ताकि आप जितनी देर एग्जाम दे रहे हो आपका ट्विचिंग, मूविंग, खुजलाइंग, इचिंग जो भी है, all that will be recorded. Weird concept, isn't it? Right? Okay. Now, what does this paragraph say? ये और एक और छोटा सा है, सुन लो, ये बहुत मजेदार है. मतलब इसमें जो पॉइंट्स आ रहे हैं ना, कॉन्सेप्ट्स फॉर रीडिंग, वो लिखते चले जाओ गाइज. आई एम टेलिंग यू, दीज विल रियली एंड ट्रूली हेल्प यू. मुगल सैफ, this is real. I mean, if I'm giving you an article, I have dug it out from certain sources that do not give you false and bakwas articles. Okay? It has to be something that is happening in the world around you. Okay. Perhaps the most notorious recent misuse. अब ये देख लो, Bani factor. Everyone over there. Flow देखो passage का, mapping देखो कितना बढ़िया है. ये AI, right? AI, China, right? Schools. Correct? If there is a question on schools, Ayushman, you can simply go to this paragraph and pick the point. If there is a question on racism, Negro, black students, you can come here and pick. If there is a question on China or AI, you can come and read and pick. Right? अब ये देखो, the most notorious recent misuse किसका था? Who did it? Notorious, the opposite of famous, infamous, बुरा, सबसे बदनाम किसने किया? ये शाओलिन Zhao Tong University something. AI researchers. What did they do? What did they do, Vrinda? These people who claimed to have trained an algo. Here you need to pause and understand one more concept, reading concept. Algo is human trained. Algo kahan se aata hai? My Siri, Siri in my phone, or like your Alexa जो आपके phone पे होती है, Android पे, किसी जिस पे भी, ये algo है, right? Who trains it? Who puts it in there? चांद से आके तो कोई नहीं डाल रहा है, पी के तो आके नहीं डाल रहा है, राइट? भगवान तो आके नहीं डाल रहा है, वहां से मैन्युफैक्चर होके तो नहीं आ रहा. वी ह्यूमंस डू इट. सो एल्गो इज ह्यूमन ट्रेन्ड. रीडिंग कॉन्सेप्ट यहां पे क्या आता है बच्चों? इफ एल्गो इज ह्यूमन ट्रेन्ड, देयर इज अ चांस ऑफ बीइंग बायस्ड, राइट? देयर इज अ चांस ऑफ दैट फंडामेंटलिज्म क्रीपिंग इन. लेट्स से देयर इज अ फंडामेंटलिस्ट, रिलीजियस फंडामेंटलिस्ट. हमें नहीं पता कि वो रिलीजियस फंडामेंटलिस्ट है, उसको हमने दे दिया बेटा तू यहां बैठ के ना ये एल्गो के सारे स्पेसिफिकेशंस डाल. He believes women should not do like that, children should not do like that, man is supreme, ये वो, Hindus against Muslims, उसका ये है, right? वो तो एल्गो को उसी हिसाब से डालेगा, right? So there is this another reading concept, how algo is human trained and what are the flaws that we need to be careful about, right? Okay. Trained an algo to identify criminals based on the shape of their faces, physiognomy, with an accuracy of 89.5%. इन लोगों ने बोला कि we can do this. The 2016 work has appeared only as a preprint. Only as a preprint means not peer reviewed. I already talked about peer review. मजेदार concept है peer review, पता होना चाहिए, है ना? So it has not been peer reviewed. That is again one drawback. Peer review होगा तो criticism आएगा, तो there are chances of us finding flaws in that study. ठीक है? So preprint आया. What does it say? Criminals are under-evolved subhuman beasts recognizable from their sloping foreheads. Do you get my point? Sloping foreheads ऐसा. And hawk-like noses. मेरा question ये है बच्चों, अगर hawk-like noses के basis पे हम criminals निकालने लगे तो we don't have to look very far. फिर तो हमारे अपने बॉलीवुड में ही मतलब एक दो लोग ऐसे निकल जाएंगे जिनके बड़े हॉक लाइक नोजेस हैं. सो दैट मीन्स दे आर क्रिमिनल्स. सैफ अली खान के बेटे को अगर आपने ये बोला तो सैफ अली खान इज रियली गोइंग टू सू यू. या सोनू सूद बेचारे ने भी क्या किया है उसकी बड़ी नाक है, दैट इज जेनेटिक. दैट डजंट मीन वी आर गोइंग टू ब्लेम लाइक दिस कि हॉक लाइक नोजेस वाले क्रिमिनल्स ही होते हैं. यू गॉट इट? However, the study's seemingly high-tech attempt to pick facial features borrows directly from the photographic composite method. One more very interesting concept. सुन लो ये. Photographic composite method क्या होता था? They used to take like 10 criminals. Okay? समझो यहाँ पे 10 criminals ले लिया, 10 की फोटो ले ली. And then what would they do, Arunesha? 10 की फोटो को they would pile one on top of the other. Okay, and then with the help of some technology they would see the similarity running between those 10 photos and they would write a conclusion. On the basis of these 10 photos we decide that a sloping forehead is a criminal, a hawk-like nose is a rapist. You get it? ये करते थे ये. That was called photographic composite method. Understood the point? ठीक है? Composite is मिलाना सबको. Developed by जो भी था ये फ्रांसिस गैल्टन, ये इसी ने यूजेनिक्स निकाला था. ठीक है? Which involved overlaying the faces, meaning दिया है multiple people to find features indicative health, ये वो जो कुछ भी common points. कितने सारे concepts मैंने आपको दिए ना पढ़ने के लिए. Last paragraph that is absolutely my favorite, जो आपको यूजेनिक्स ला के दे रहा है, that we discussed earlier. Okay, so look at the flow here. He says the most notorious, China mein something happened, right? One study came up. Technology commentators have panned these facial recognition technologies as literal phrenology. Literal phrenology. Phrenology, you know by now, literal, you know, exact, right? They've also linked some applications to eugenics, our darling topic. Phrenology is parent pseudoscience. So, pseudoscience is the parent, ठीक है, उसके अंडर आता है phrenology and physiognomy and eugenics, right? Parents neuroscience that aims to improve, eugenics का meaning देखो कितना सही डाला है, improve the human race by encouraging people deemed the fittest to reproduce. If you did not see the eugenics वाला ना editorial, go back and check it out. Oh, only the healthy seeds must be sown. So if you are physically disabled, you have no right to get married and breed. You cannot bring up your children. Why? Because आप में physical disability है, your egg is not strong. That is what eugenics says. That is what China has been doing. That is what Hitler Chacha did. Right? Then, human race by encouraging people deemed the fittest to reproduce and discouraging childbearing in those deemed unfit. Okay, Galton ने खुद ही निकाला था ये eugenics, describing as all influences, remote degree, okay, better chance of this something. The last 4 lines, very important. China's surveillance of ethnic minorities has the explicit goal of denying opportunities to those. वही eugenics को explain कर रहा है. Technologies that attempt to detect the faces of criminals may have more noble goals. They may have noble goals. Cheaters को रोकना है ना? Society को खराब नहीं होने देना है. But tend to lead to the same predictable result. What is the predictable result? Do you see a colon there? Colon means important point. And passage ka last 3-4 lines, question pocket. So what is the result? Same predictable result. Mera irada hoga something noble, but then I always have the same predictable result if I am getting into this physiognomy and phrenology. What is that result? A lot of false positives for already marginalized people. ये तो आपको पता ही नहीं marginalized कौन होते हैं, ये पता होना चाहिए. Another concept. Marginalized sections of the society, the people who are the lesser mortals, the people who are at the margins, the people who are not getting the mainstream benefits. You get it? So, यहाँ बोला है false positives for already marginalized. बहुत सारे लोग हैं जो marginalized है, communities are marginalized, people who are शिकार of racism. This kind of a test is going to be, this kind of test is going to exacerbate the situation. It's going to worsen it, right? So already marginalized people, leading to the denial of rights and opportunities. See the ending? So if you continue doing such things, phrenology, physiognomy and all, ठीक है, आपका intention होगा सही, but then eventually we end up exacerbating the situation that is already there in the society. The rich keep getting richer, poor keep getting poorer, the marginalized keep getting discriminated against, and denial of rights and opportunities. Hola! Wasn't it a beautiful passage? And now if we go back and look at the flow of the passage, what is it? Phrenology, right? The description. However, it's making a comeback. And then he goes on to explain machine learning, AI, governments, private companies. Then he says AI, startups. He brings in China, schools, colleges, right? China ka most notorious one example. And then he talks about this. So what is the main idea? Yes, Chirag Jain, I'm so happy that you've noted down the words. That is what I call a sacha student. Eklavya, tu hi hai meri class ka. Right? What is the main idea of the passage? Don't come up with a sentence as such. Nahi chahiye maine, sentence nahi dalna. Okay? Main idea. Hero kaun hai? Aapka phrenology. Right? Phrenology, physiognomy, एक साथ you can put under pseudoscience. Eugenics is not the hero. Eugenics एक पैरा में आया है. Right? So phrenology and physiognomy, ये वाले techniques जिनसे you study people's facial features and skull features. What is the main idea? First paragraph tells you it's making a comeback. Right? But caveats are there. Caveats means warning. Right? It is making a comeback, but there are various drawbacks associated with these things. And the most important one, or the last one that we read about, was the racial discrimination thing, the marginalized communities wala thing. So the drawbacks associated with this thing that is making a comeback. This is your main idea. biases and all. Yeah, understood. I sincerely hope you guys had a great time, because when I was preparing the PPT, when I was putting in all this input and trying to kind of, see the flow and all, I was really excited about it. कि एक passage में my students are going to get so many concepts, so many related concepts are there. And Chirag, this is how we build our network. This is how we do the web learning. वेब लर्निंग कैसी होती है? आई रीड अबाउट यूजेनिक्स, यूजेनिक्स से आई रीड अबाउट फ्रेनोलॉजी, फ्रेनोलॉजी से फिजियोग्नमी, दे बोथ कम अंडर pseudoscience. Pseudoscience, when I talk about pseudoscience, something comes to mind, peer review. Peer review is something. This is what I call building up. Okay, build. Very soon, like very soon बोले तो overnight नहीं होगा. After, let's say, 1 or 2 months, 2 months रख लो, you will be amazed at your potential. You will be amazed at the knowledge that you start gaining. आप पढ़ोगे कुछ और आपको familiar लगेगा. Oh my God, I have come across this. अपने ऊपर confidence आएगा. Okay, अच्छा लगेगा. अपने आप से प्यार होना शुरू हो जाएगा. थोड़ा सा. Understood, guys. चलो, thank you so much. Thank you everybody. वृंदा, yes, वो capitalism वाला भी बहुत ही prevalent concept है वो. So I try to give you topics that are there around you. ऐसा नहीं कि something dead and gone from millions of years back, या something that is irrelevant. ऐसा नहीं देती हूँ मैं. Cool, guys. All right, everyone, we can all go for dinner. Let's call it a night. Let's keep learning. Okay, you and I together make a great team, and let nothing deter us from reaching our goals. ठीक है? Brinda and Mohit and Aditi, Sri Aditya, Swastik, Floyd, everybody, good night. चलिए